Rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
On tonight's episode, we look at the latest between the two series finals for the NBA and NHL. Is this the rebound for the Detroit Tigers? We're going to talk about it. And can the Rocket Classic find a new sponsor? All that and more as the Sports Reel podcast begins right now.
If it's in the headlines, on the first page or the last, it's fair game here on the Sports Reel podcast.
And we welcome you to the real reason why Tuesdays were invented. This is the Sports Reel podcast, live on the PFC Entertainment Network. Certainly appreciate you taking time out of your evening to give us a watch, along with Tim Sheridan, Eric Mendal, and we are being joined by friend of the show, Addison, from Two Guys, One Pod. Gentlemen, great to have you on board here on this Tuesday evening, a stormy Tuesday evening. Around these parts, at least here in the state of Michigan. Tim, how's things with you, man?
You know, Jason, I'm doing fairly well right now. Had a good weekend. Well, good and not good. We had to drive to Tennessee for a celebration of life for an amazing person who had passed away. And it was definitely an adventure on the way home, to say the least. It took us 12 hours to make a 9-hour drive, because about 20 miles outside of where we were in Tennessee, I started getting a low tire alarm. And luckily, we're about 4 miles from a Walmart, which you could be like, hopefully we just make it to this Walmart so we can get this fixed. So needless to say, it was an adventure. But luckily, I've had this entire week off of work, and I'm just trying to catch up stuff around the house. So other than that, Jason, I'm doing pretty well. I'm just still recovering from 12 hours in the vehicle on Sunday, but I'm doing good.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that there was a snafu, if you will, amongst your travels. But the important part is you guys made it home safely, and I do love that part of it. Eric, good to see you, man. How's things? How's the new job going for you?
It's still going good. Just ready to talk about sports. Ready to talk about a lot that's happened this past week, and yeah, that's about it. Other than that, it's sunny out. It's not raining here right now. The beer's cold. You're bald. We're doing good.
Freshly shaved bald too.
I can tell. It's blinding me. I have to get my sunglasses.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, you need to powder that thing.
For real.
No. Addison, good to see you. It's awesome to have you back on the show. How's things?
Oh, dude, I'm doing fantastic. About to head out to Tahoe in about 48 hours for buddy's bachelor party trip. But I think I caught you guys right before my last one, so common theme there. But our app actually just rolled out our V3, so couldn't be happier. Stuff's going real well, and real excited to talk sports. Normally on the football side of it, so it's good to get into the other action. Been watching the NBA finals. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're going to be breaking down the NBA finals, the NHL finals. I mean, these are becoming two series that we're going to be looking back and remembering for a long time. I feel like we'll get to that here in a little while. Just saw Scott's comment in the live chat, which you can correspond with us live on the Facebook feed as well as YouTube. Uh, I understand I'm coming through quiet. The fact of the matter is our distributor decided to overhaul everything, and I don't know where anything's at right now. We're literally flying by the seat of our pants, but we're gonna. I'm pretty confident when I say I can make that. I can fix that in post, but I understand the frustration of the live side, believe me. But with that being said, anybody that wants to be a part of the show, uh, join the show with us live. We will be posting a link here in just a moment. Click on that, go through a couple hoops, boom, you're on the show with us. Gentlemen, let's go ahead and start with the Detroit Tigers this week. And man, what a turnaround. It's not something where I'm going to sit here and get make my plans for the World Series or anything like that. Let's calm down. But I mean, when you look at the week previously, last, the week before last, it was abysmal. The week before that, absolute train wreck. So it was very refreshing to see this week that they're starting to turn things around. They pretty much handled business with the Tampa Bay Rays. The big 8-0 win last Tuesday, and then they followed that up with a 7-2 win. They didn't play on Thursday. They did start a series with the Seattle Mariners over the weekend, and this was a series I was kind of worried about. Seattle, I have maintained, has been one of those low-key dangerous teams, as we saw very late last season. But on Friday, they picked up a 7-3 win. Seattle did rebound with a 4-0 win over the Tigers, but then the Tigers closed it out with a 5-4 win on Sunday. They did not play last night, but coming up here tonight, they start a 3-game set with the Minnesota Twins. Obviously, this is a very important series in terms of the standings in the AL Central. Then they will be in Cleveland this next weekend, and back-to-back AL Central teams on your docket, Tim. This is a crucial part of the schedule for the Detroit Tigers if they're looking to really make a splash in their division. Would you agree?
I think you were talking about the Tigers because I saw the graphic, but we can't hear you. So I'm just going to go along with that. I'm just joking. We can hear you just fine. We can hear you just fine.
You know where I'm at right now. Why would you do that to me?
Dude, I fucked with Cody so hard last night. I think he just put a clip out about it because we were running into a bunch of technical issues with his, because I think he uses Restream, and like it was giving him some issues, and we were trying everything. I even tried over my phone. Like at first I thought it was my connection, but I checked my connection. I was like, I'm running fine. Like, so we started like 20 minutes late. So as soon as we finally got online, he started going through his whole spiel. He introduced me, and then I started acting like I was talking, but like, no, I was just like, and he's shaking his head. He's like, I'm about to quit right now. And I was like, no, I'm just messing with you, man. Like, I had him freaking out so hard. I got to do that. But yeah, no, anytime, you're talking about divisional games coming up here, especially with Cleveland and stuff like that. And they need to make up ground in there. Addison, I know you're a Chicago guy, and I know the White Sox are even kicking our asses right now. So surprisingly enough, that's a good team this year. They've been in the bottom of the barrel. But yeah, Tigers, they seem to be turning this thing around, and I'm excited about that, but I don't want to get overly excited because, that kind of leads to disappointment, although we are Detroit sports fans, so we're quite used to disappointment. We've been living with it for a long time. So, but now we're starting to see some of these starting pitchers come back, from injury, or we're going to start seeing. I know Scooble just had a good outing there. I think he was in Double-A on the west side of the state or something, played a game over there, did really well, 5 innings, 6 strikeouts, looked good over there, so he should be back soon. And surprisingly enough, because of the little winning streak here, people have been calling about a trade, and apparently the Tigers said, no, he's not on the table right now. we don't have any plans of trading Scooble at this point in time. So they're closing that door right now, and it could be they're gearing up to try to make a run at this damn thing. And I could see Jason he's got something to say about that. Like he's just shook his head and smiling. So Jason, give me your thoughts on Scooble not being on the block right now. Are you fucking with me now?
Yes,
You're a
I
He
dick.
am.
definitely is.
Fuck
He
right
has to be.
No, when I saw that, when I saw that little bit of information that they were not going to trade him, I just put my pen down. And I was like, what a fucking circus! What an unnecessary fucking circus! And this is why, man. Like I just cannot with this guy. I'm not going to. A lot of people are excited about what Tarek Skubal are we going to get when he does return? Does he have a chip on his shoulder, which he probably has? He has a right to. But I mean, are we going to get the Tarek Skubal in the best, or is he going to be more reserved because he's trying to save himself? There's a lot of question marks with this, and that's why I'm reserving my judgment until I see the next 2 or 3 outings from him in a Tigers uniform. Then I'll sit here and be like, okay, he's either in it or he's half-assing it, because we've seen this dude play long enough to know the difference. I feel like when you compare how he was in the beginning parts of the playoffs last year to say his demeanor with the World Baseball Classic. Now I understand they're on different levels, but still very high profile, high stakes games here. There is a tale of 2 Tarek Skubals. So we'll see what happens with it. But Addison, I did want, I've been looking forward to having you back on the show because I want your opinion. What is going on? What is the word more internally? I mean, we pay attention on the surface, but with this turnaround with the Chicago White Sox, like nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw that this was going to be where they are right now, like a game or a game and a half back behind Cleveland, because for the last handful of years, they set up residency in the basement of the division.
Yeah, they really have. And, I think the story starts and ends with Murakami, the Japanese prospect who has just absolutely torn up the league. He has been incredible. Basically, Kyle Schwarber-esque numbers, like coming in there, hitting home runs left and right. It's really encouraging to see because when I first came on here a couple weeks ago, the Cubs were on the ceiling. They had just come off a 10-game win streak, and the Sox were actually still puttering around the basement. And since then, it's been an entire different story. The White Sox have been great. It's cool to see the energy from that team. You can really see when a young team is starting to put it together. I'm sure you guys felt that way with the Tigers last year, actually. And when you start getting that momentum, it starts to feel like you can maintain it. But not to drag you guys back into the Scooble talk, but I really want to know your guys' opinion on how you feel about not being in the market for trading an ace like Scooble, because to be honest, his trade value is about as high as it's going to get. Like, he comes back and his demeanor is off. He doesn't play great. You aren't getting as much for him, and your team is at the precipice of where they actually can compete versus when you kind of have to shut it down. Like, I've been watching the Bulls for, 20 years here, and I've been waiting for them to shut it down and just trade the pieces when they're at high value for ages. They never do it. And it hasn't worked out for him. So I want to know, as a Detroit Tigers fan, do you want to see them going all in right now, or is this a bit of a disappointment?
I'll jump in that one real quick, and then I'll let you guys take over because this is kind of going on in the chats at the same time, and I brought up the fact that if you don't trade Scooble right now, or you don't trade him by the trade deadline, you're going to have to sign him because you're not going to have any value. I mean, he's going to walk, you know what I mean? So if you plan on getting anything for him, right now might be the time to do it. I mean, he came back from that injury a lot faster than a lot of people. Well, not really injury, but that surgery that they had to remove that, that debris from his elbow. He came back pretty quickly. I think it's only been, what, 4 to 6 weeks, and he's back there pitching in a rehab assignment already. So his value is going to be higher right now. Is it as high as it was before he went in for that surgery? No, but he's still going to have a super high value. So if you plan on trading him, right now might be the time, but it could also be bad to do if you think that this team's going to turn around and make a run at it. So if you keep him, you need to find a way to sign him. But I don't want to see him signed for 10 years like he wants.
Yeah, those 10-year deals are really rough. Like,
Yeah.
you never know what you're going to get, and if there's any inconsistency, you aren't getting value for that player.
No.
But I also heard the surgery he had was like the incision they had to make was like needle size. So it was a very small incision, like very, very small pieces of bone. So that's probably why he's bouncing back so quick and all that. But if he feel like he doesn't want to be here, I'd trade him. If he doesn't want to be here and you get that, you know, that instinct, like, hey man, he's probably gonna walk at the end of the year. What? Get some prospects. You already got a decent, club in the pitching, aspect of it. Let's get some more bats. Get some more prospects coming up. We already got some pretty good prospects coming up anyway. Why not get more?
So, Jason, I have to add on to this because you watch a lot more baseball than I do. We all know that, and understandably, Eric feels that way, but I know Scooble's come out a million times and said he wants to be here. Now, is this more of and I understand our thoughts on it because we all feel the same way, like, he's been playing that protect myself for money type game here for the last year, you know what I mean, which has pissed us all off, but he's also come out and said that he wants to be here. Do you think this is more of an issue with his agent wanting to try to get the most out of him that he can and not allowing him to sign for what maybe Scooble would find acceptable to sign for?
Acceptable.
I might have said that. I don't have much of a voice right now.
Agent is the guy that I put 90% of the blame out of all this chaos on. Because this dude is, and I'm not going to sit here and say that he's not worried about making sure his client gets what he deserves. But he is all about himself, making sure his name is in the headlines, is in people's mouths. Like there is not a spotlight that dude will not be attracted to. You know what I mean? This whole thing with Scooble, it should have never gotten this blown out of proportion. And when you sit here, and we've broken this down so many times on the show. The dude wants 10 years for X amount of money, and my concern was the motherfucker's already had 2 Tommy John surgeries. And as I'm making my argument for that, then the news comes up that he's getting pulled anyway because he's got bone fragments floating around his goddamn elbow. Now, tell me, and the way this whole thing has been handled, trying to get that maximum dollar, it has screwed him over because he's not going to get what he once was going after. He just isn't, unless it is a smaller market team that has a shit ton of money that doesn't know what to do with it, and they feel like having him will take them to the next level. I mean, how many teams are in that category? The fact of the matter is we've lost the maximum value. And look, the Tigers are not the baby faces here either by any stretch of the imagination. They could have handled this shit a lot better. But I'm under the thing, if he doesn't want to be here, get him the fuck out of here. Straight up. Because we don't need another Juan Gonzalez here. We don't need, and I'm not saying it could be that, because that situation, like I'll never forget that shit, because he just was here for the paycheck. And like, I know Scooble wants to win, but I don't feel like he is tied emotionally to the city of Detroit. I just don't see it. I don't feel it from him. I feel like he is a baseball for our franchise, or a baseball player for our franchise. I don't really think he has any real deep personal connection to this city. And if he does, I'm wrong. but it sure shit don't feel like it.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from there, and I feel like when you're looking at a guy like Scooble, you need that guy to be the face of your franchise. Like,
Absolutely.
Detroit is hungry for a guy there to actually represent that ball club. I don't know if you guys feel differently, but really, since Miggy, I don't feel like there was a person that I associate Detroit baseball to. Like, you guys haven't had that franchise player in my mind.
No, I'm right there with you. I think Miggy was.
Verlander.
Well, be Verlander.
Yeah,
before Miggy did.
Verlander's a good call there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The second you go to Houston, there's a stink on you that doesn't.
Ordonez, I think.
Maybe that's just me.
Yeah. No,
I'm 100% with you there, Addison. When I personally, and I know I'm not the only one, but when we talk about the World Series in 2017, I put an asterisk next to it. You know what I mean? The whole Houston Astros debacle back then, and the fact that Verlander was attached to that. It broke my heart that he left to begin with, because he was one of those. He was the face of this franchise. It was a two-headed monster between he and Miggy, and when he left, man, that was such a deflating blow to longtime Tiger fans, and then to watch him go on to win the World Series, which we wanted that for. He kind of like Tim wanting Stafford to win a Super Bowl when he went to the Rams. As a Lions fan, it gutted us. But we were also a more personal fan of Matthew Stafford, and he went on to get the success that clearly was not going to happen here in Detroit. But then all the scandal happened, and it really just, I don't know, man. And the more Verlander bounced around, the more I was like, he's becoming less and less of a Tiger, in my view, in my fandom. And I know people will crucify me for that. I respect the guy. I love the guy. And I'm glad he came back here to finish his career. But when you're putting on Astros uniforms and then Mets uniforms and then Giants uniforms, it's like, man, I don't know, man. I look at that shit weird level like that, I guess. But
well, yeah,
everybody, it would be him.
Yeah, and you look at say Keenan Allen. I always like the good football analogy there. Like, that guy goes back to the LA Chargers and gets to have probably the last good season he's going to have in that uniform. Like, you want to see the players end their career either on that high note or actually at the ball club that you want them to be associated with for their career. So I'm totally with you on that.
No, I'm right there too. And we can't forget about the most important player the Tigers had in the last 15 years, and that's Jim's favorite Tiger ever, Brandon Inge. So he was the face of this team.
Flip the table over, man.
That was for you, Jim.
Oh man, that was brutal. I wholeheartedly endorse that comment too.
Yeah.
You know, so take your HSA and stick it, brother. Eric, am I too far off my rocker here with kind of breaking down a guy in this case, Justin Verlander, who, you know, again, one of the most popular athletes in Detroit sports history, and a lot of people are still on that bandwagon. Am I being too harsh on this when I'm sitting here saying, you know, I don't look at him as much as a Tiger anymore? Am I too harsh?
I wouldn't say so, because, you know, the first one that pops in my head that did that, and you still see him in that one uniform, is Michael Jordan. You think of Michael Jordan, you remember him as a Bull. You don't remember him as playing on the Wizards or anything like that. You don't remember the scandals or anything like that. You remember him as a Chicago Bulls fan. And I would maybe say, I wouldn't say you're too hard on it, because he did jump around. Like, if he left, went to the Astros, then maybe went to the Giants for a year and then came back, a little bit different. But he started bouncing around and say, okay, what are you trying to get out of your career? What do you want? If you have that deep of roots in Detroit and you eventually wanted to come back, why didn't you do it sooner? Was the money not right there? Did you not reach out? Did we not reach out? So I wouldn't say you're being too hard on him. So I see that. I agree with you a little bit.
Okay. Well, again, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to disagree, and
Well, it's just like Fedorov.
fine folks in Sacramento.
Yeah, that's just like Fedorov. You think of him as a wing because he had no other success anywhere else.
Right.
So.
Right. It, I was thinking about, when you look at these star athletes that have bounced around all over the place, and then they go into the Hall of Fame, and when you have to sit there and have a conversation of what is this guy going into the Hall of Fame as? Like look at Claude Lemieux. I mean, is he going in as a Colorado Avalanche? Is he going in as a Devil? Is he going in as a Canadian? Like, what is he going in as?
I guess you would think of him as where he had more success at. I guess that's what I would have to come down to. Where was he most succverlander? So for Claude, so that would be, huh?
By that logic,
yeah, that would be my opinion.
Verlander had more success in Houston. So if
that is true.
Is he going into the Hall of Fame as a Houston Astro or a Detroit Tiger because he spent the majority of his career here?
I'd say kind of maybe both a little bit there because he did pitch his first no-hitter in the Detroit uniform. He was a hometown hero to us and all that. I'd say maybe a little bit of both. I guess it just depends on where you're located at that you have to ask yourself that question. So like perfect person to get advice would be Addison because he's not from the Detroit or the Houston area. So I'd say let's get his take on that, honestly.
Yeah. By the way, is my camera coming in clean
nope,
here? Or
you
am
are. You look like you. Looks like you might have to poop in your picture.
Yeah. Great to see that. So it's a frozen one of my face. That's fantastic.
Yes. It's
on my
a great
end, it's
picture
just
too.
a spinning wheel. That's super duper cool. I was just about to send a message to the chat there and let you guys know that I might refresh my screen, but I'll answer this question first with my poopy face. And and say that I mean, like I think a lot of salve gets put on the wound the second that the retirement ceremony comes out. Like Verlander's going to retire as a Tiger. I would hope he does. It would be shocking if he didn't because are you kidding me? It's booting me. I'm going to refresh. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
All right.
All right.
Well, what do you think, Tim? I mean, in the case of Verlander, does he go in as a Tiger, or does
100%.
he go in as a Houston Astro because that's where he won the World Series?
He goes in as a Tiger, even though he won the World Series in a Houston uniform. He spent the majority of his career as a Tiger, and I mean, he started his career here. He's gonna finish his career here. He's gonna go in as a Tiger. I mean, if he goes in as an Astro, I think that's just a travesty, to be honest. Like, I mean, it's a joke. Addison, you want to finish up what you were saying there?
Yeah. That was delightful, by the way. I sympathize with Jason significantly more than I did to start this show. I was kind of on it with you guys on razzing him, but I similarly don't love technical difficulties. But I mean, like, Jordan was a great example, and that one honestly made me think about it because, like, I was young enough that I didn't get to see a ton of Michael Jordan, but I know what he meant to the city of Chicago. I know what Verlander meant to the city of Detroit. Like, you get a lot of opportunity to remedy those wounds, to mend those fences, whatever other analogy you want to go with. Like, when you're in your retirement and actually showing that, hey, you want your career to be associated with this ball club. Like, it's kind of similar to, like, Julius Peppers when he went to the Bears for a little bit. They I had, like, a small part of me that I wanted, like, him to have a longer lasting resume with the Chicago Bears, but it was cool to see him just say, hey, I want my career to be associated with the Panthers. I want it to be associated with an intro ball club that I was able to make my actual mark with. So I'm hoping that's the legacy you get with Verlander too. But, it says something too, as like, hey, I'm a baseball fan. I definitely not as in deep in the game as you guys, but like that even then, when I thought of Verlander, I was thinking, Houston Astros Verlander, which I think says a lot about how the outside looking in feels about that change too.
So that's a great point. Obviously we're going to have our personal opinions because of where we are and our fandom for the team and all this other stuff. But when you look at the broader landscape of the fan base and the reporters and the media, how do they view Justin Verlander? So that's a unique perspective. Where I'm going to have to get Vinny's take on this next week on ball game. So I'm sure he's going to have an opinion on this. Anything else within the world of MLB we would like to touch on before we move on to the two championship series that's happening?
No, I think we move right into the Stanley Cup Finals here, which has been exciting. I did catch the
No.
end of the game.
We're going to move into the trade. We need to just talk about that before anything else.
So
Yeah, I interrupted you.
unless you've been living
The trade hasn't happened yet, so we can bring that up.
Request to trade.
Yeah, we can bring that up here in a second. Let's get into the Stanley Cup, so we'll lead into the trade, because we'll be talking hockey anyways. So it's
You
perfect.
don't even watch hockey. You have no input right now.
It's a good point, but I have to pee, so that's why I want to move into the
Fuck
Stanley
you,
Cup
fine.
real quick.
Go to the Stanley Cup.
I
Let's talk
gotta
about
take
that.
a piss, okay?
That's fine.
All right, well, here's where we are right now with the Stanley Cup. The Vegas Golden Knights have a 2-1 series lead over the Carolina Hurricanes going into tonight's Game 4 in Las Vegas. This series is, we knew it was going to be a good one.
It's everything you want in a Stanley Cup.
I wish I could not have said it better. This is going to be one of those series.
Game 7.
Just preliminarily speaking, right now, this is going to go down in a lot of people's top 10, maybe even top 5 best Stanley Cup Finals series ever. The Vegas and Carolina teams are playing on a different level. Game 2, a 4-3 win for Carolina, went into overtime, and then Game 3, they had to do it twice in overtime before the Knights were able to defeat the Hurricanes. So here we are, 2-1 for Vegas. This is number one. I expected it to be the Colorado Avalanche representing the West, Addison, and but make no mistake, I really felt like Carolina was just going to kind of steamroll their way to the Stanley Cup, and especially with Vegas earning their berth into the Stanley Cup Finals. But man, oh man, this has been a back and forth seesaw battle, and it has the potential of being one for the ages. How much have you been paying attention to the Knights and the Hurricanes here?
The most I've paid attention to a Stanley Cup Finals since the first year the Vegas Knights were in it. It's been cool to watch, and just the energy's been electric. I feel like we're seeing a lot more sort of ancillary players making their mark in the Stanley Cup than we typically do. It's not really dominated by one or two guys, and it's been really cool to see these these puck clubs starting to put that energy out there. And I don't know, I'm kind of rooting for the Knights at this point. Where are you guys sitting on in terms of fandom in this? Like, I know that doesn't play too much into it, but you got to have a rooting interest.
I mean, Eric and I, we're pretty big hockey fans. We pay attention to it. We know what's happening for the most part. I wasn't a fan of either one of these teams, if I can be honest with you. But I've been paying attention to the Hurricanes this year, especially the later part of the season, and I'm like, man, this is the team to beat right now. This is the Stanley Cup is theirs to win. Well, then here comes Vegas, who took out the heavily favored Colorado Avalanche, and now here they are with a 2-1 lead over the league leading team right now in a lot of statistics. So I've been surprised. I think the Hurricanes are going to wind up doing it. I think it is going all 7 games though. no team is going to build any kind of momentum, substantial momentum that's just going to finish the job real quick and painless. Eric, would you agree with that?
So how much have you watched much of this at all, Jason, or no?
I did see games 1 and 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I watched one all the way through, and that was just a back and forth battle, like exactly what you want in a Stanley Cup. Like game 1 set the tempo of what this series is going to be. Game 2 with Vegas is one of their star defenders taking a puck to the face and going out. That was kind of a hard blow for them, but he was back in game 3, full cage mask, ready to roll. That's how hockey players are. I thought he was going to be back game 2, honestly. I thought he was going to go get stitched up and come back in because they're that crazy. But, it's everything you want. And I honestly think Vegas is going to take it the way they're playing, because game 3, they scored 4 goals in the second. Then Carolina scored 3 goals in 39 seconds to come back and tie it up. And that's how it went to double overtime. I think the thing that's going to be the nail in the coffin is Carolina's goaltender, because the games I've seen is just the way they are playing. The Knights are just on a different level, but so is Carolina. It's such back and forth. It's going to go to a game 7, and I honestly think the Golden Knights may take it. But reality, Addison, to answer your question, I don't really have a fandom for either team. In reality, if I had to choose, I would probably choose Carolina because they have more history and they've been around way longer and all that. And it's hard. And I'm only mainly just saying that because the Red Wings have not been relevant in 10 years, and the Golden Knights have been around for 9 years, and they've already won a Stanley Cup. They've made quite a few appearances. I'm like, wow, they're doing something right in the front office, and it's leading down to the ice, and it's showing. So, but I think the Golden Knights I think they might take it the way they're playing. Like their goaltender's great, their defense is phenomenal, but in reality, both teams are here for a reason. They're both great teams. They're both phenomenal teams, and this is exactly what you wanted in a Stanley Cup final. Because I haven't missed a game yet. I have not watched all of them through, but what I've seen is just it's entertaining, it's electric, it's fast, it's physical, it's just so much going on, and it's like you can tell every player on the ice knows what's on the line, and it's what you wanted. It's what you wanted in a Stanley Cup. You didn't want it to be one-sided. You didn't want Florida to come back and win it again, but it's just everything you wanted. I appreciate every game, and that's why I have not missed one yet, and I can't wait to see game 4 tonight, because I think that's going to be huge, because I think it's in Vegas, and as I go back to Carolina.
Yeah.
Game 4 is
and 10 players have scored a goal in this finals too.
Yeah.
Like it is all over the place. It's been really fun to watch. I think that Colorado series is really why I'm like on the Vegas Knights this year, because it was just hard to not feel like that was a statement series for a hockey team. Like when you make a statement like that you can play at that level, it changes the game a little bit. I think momentum matters a lot more in hockey than most sports.
Oh yeah, 100%.
100%.
100%.
Yeah. This is the series. This is the Stanley Cup final. On the ice wise, the action, the game, the way this game is being played. This is the series that NHL needed. And Eric, and Addison, you kind of alluded to it too. The energy in these buildings, the fans, and what they're bringing. Man, these people are invested. And for the first time in a long time, the Stanley Cup Finals, even though it has 2 teams, from my personal perspective, I guess, not what you would call marquee teams for the NHL as on the surface. You know what I mean? But this is the series the National Hockey League needed. And the longer this thing goes, more people are going to be talking about it, and they're going to be, tuning in to find out what's happening. They will anyway, because it's a championship series. But man, this is a big fight feel now, where I didn't feel that way going into game 1 until game 1 was about halfway through, and I'm sitting over here looking like, God damn, this is going to be a good series. And I'm not a fan of either team. but like you can't deny talent. You know what I mean? And there's a ton of it on both sides.
The only thing I'd say, like maybe not a marquee NHL team, but the Hurricanes do have some history and they do have some cups and all that. So maybe not marquee, but I would say for them, it's like, okay, it's a little bit more, fitting, because they are, an older team. They have been around since the 90s and all that stuff. And even the Red Wings have played them in a Stanley Cup. So like, I would say, and I will say this, though, I do like their old logo better than what they have on their jerseys now, but that's just me. But I would say they're more of a marquee team from the NHL. They're older team. They've had quite a few good players. They've had quite a few good years and all that. But yeah, definitely not. Unfortunately, the Vegas Knights, because they're a newer team, but they're definitely making their stamp on the NHL with their first 10 years in it.
Oh yeah,
Which is unprecedented.
Uh-huh.
Unprecedented that a brand new franchise like that is going to garner that kind of success. That's
Front office knew what they were doing.
Yeah, for sure. They plucked the right players at the right time.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you get an expansion draft and you draft Fleury from the Penguins, an all-star goaltender, you already know you're going to be okay your first couple years. Granted, don't like Fleury because I'm a Detroit fan and all that, but he was a hell of a goaltender.
No, for sure. And again, Game 4 goes down tonight. Pull that graphic back up real quick for the schedule. Game 4 tonight at Vegas. Thursday, Game 5 will be in Carolina. 6, if necessary, on Sunday, and then Game 7 next Wednesday, if necessary, and it more than likely will be. Now, more locally here, we were rattled by the stunning headline that
You're a fuck up Riverside.
Huh?
Sorry, yelling at Tim. You're good.
Okay. The Detroit Red Wings have received a trade request from Dylan Larkin, and this sent shockwaves through the Detroit Red Wings organization, through the locker room, and through their fan base. And while I can understand that there is a level of frustration for us as fans, but I have no doubt as for the players too, of not being able to reach the postseason for the last decade. I understand that frustration, but this is a guy that we've put a lot of time and hope into as our captain, and now he has requested a trade. Now, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Eric, but I can't recall the last time a Detroit Red Wings captain has requested a trade from a team. Where are you at on this?
No, you're right and all that, but the real question is who's to blame? Is it do you blame Larkin? Do you blame Yzerman? You kind of got to go. I'm kind of on Larkin's side with this one, honestly, because he's even stated he's had frustrations back in 2023. So that's 3 years ago. He's been frustrated with the front office. He's making statements and all that. So thinking about now, it surprises me, but I'm not as surprised as he does request a trade. He's turning 30 this year. His main years are gone. I don't want to say it, but he is a second line center. He's not a first line center. He's good, but he's not that first center you need, like Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid. He's not that guy. He's definitely a great second center for sure. You put him on the second line and all that, he'd be phenomenal. He scores 30 goals, gets quite a few points in the season and all that, but I think you got to go on Yzerman because if Larkin's been making comments since 2023, has been frustrated and all that, he's done and over with it. He wants to go somewhere different. And do I fault the guy for that? No. He doesn't. How many more years you got left playing a sport like this in your prime where you can actually be effective and stay on not a contract, a roster? So I see his point. I think it's more front office.
Oh, it has to be on the front office there. He's given them every opportunity to remedy that and to really make him feel like he has a voice in that front office. Like, look at the way that franchises are able to make players feel that way. Like we see that in baseball all the time with like big market teams like the Dodgers bringing in additional players that know each other. We see that in the NBA. We saw that from LeBron constantly throughout his career. There are tons of ways to make a player feel good, even when the franchise isn't performing at the highest level. To be honest, like the only benefit of that as somebody who's by proximity rooting for Detroit in this situation is at least he's still at a point in his career where you guys can get something for him if that trade actually does happen, which, to be honest, I'd be pretty sad. It's fun to watch Larkin in the Red Wings uniform. I'm a fan.
No, I'm right there with you. And I brought this up last night when I was on Catching Up with Cody. We were discussing this, and I broke it all down to an ownership issue. We see the same issue with the Red Wings that we see with the Tigers. And what's the one thing they have in common? They got the same damn owner, and they have the same issues. They don't want to sign anybody. They don't want to add pieces. And it comes down to, can these GMs get money to be able to do this shit? And I really blame it on Chris Ilitch. Now, when it comes down to Larkin, I also do not blame Larkin. He has been asking, he's been frustrated. He's been wanting them to get him some help on this team, and they just haven't done shit over the last 3 years. And did we put that on Yzerman? I really don't think so. I'm almost positive that Yzerman's just not sitting there going, we can do this without adding anybody.
How do you not put on Yzerman? You got Justin Falk this trade deadline.
That's probably all that he was able to get. He still has to get permission from ownership to do anything, to make any moves with money. You know what I mean? We see these same problems with the Tigers. Let's look at the one common denominator between the two teams. It's ownership. We see the same problems on both teams.
On how? When the Tigers went and got that left-handed pitcher, Valdez.
Yeah, but they didn't.
They spent $115 million.
Yeah. And
how are they not spending money?
For like 3 or 4 years.
Quentin Hughes wanted to come to Detroit, and Yzerman's like, yeah, I'm not going to try to get him. Michigan boy.
Are you sure that was him, or did he want more money than ownership would want to give up?
It's a trade.
It's a trade, but you still have to
trade
pay
a player
these
or
players.
a pick. You trade a player or a pick. You'd have took on his contract,
I'm
but you'd have
looking
gave
at the
up.
common denominator between both teams. Both teams have the same damn issue. The one common denominator, Eric, is they both have the same owner. They don't have the same damn GMs, but they both have the same issues. So tell me what the issue is. I think it's an Ilitch issue. Now, is Larkin going anywhere? I don't know.
To be honest, his contract, he cannot be traded. They have to.
It's in his contract that they cannot trade him. He has to get permission to be traded. Yeah. So he's asking for it. He can get traded.
Well, yeah, I'm saying he can.
Now he has only put out there that he wants to be traded to either the Minnesota Wild, the Florida Panthers, or the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, are any of those teams willing to actually give up anything to get Larkin? I don't know. All 3 of those teams are in pretty good positions that they don't really need.
Well, you're not going to trade him to Minnesota. You're not going to do that.
0%.
I already know that. Yzerman's not going to do that. So,
no.
I've heard Dallas Stars are in the mix. Maybe, I don't know, but
he never put down Dallas Stars. They're not in his options.
No, when you're going to get traded, you don't have an option.
Well, yes, he does, because he has a no trade clause. So he can pick where he wants to go. He says, these 3 teams are the ones that I'm willing to go to. You could trade me to these. If not, I'm not going anywhere. It's all on him because he has that clause.
Oh.
So, and that's where that comes into play, because he says those 3 teams. Now, are those teams willing to give up what Yzerman's going to want to get Larkin? Probably not, in my opinion. You know what I mean? You're going to need a different team for them to give up a big piece to get Larkin. So I'm not really convinced that Larkin's going anywhere at this point in time. You know what I mean? Maybe this will be a wake-up call for the front office, and maybe part of it is Yzerman, but I blame a lot of it on the Ilitches. We've talked about this a million times, and you've been on the same bandwagon with us, saying that the Ilitches are an issue with that team, because if the old man owned this team still, if he was still around, we'd be talking about a completely different set of teams between the Tigers and the Red Wings, because that dude was willing to spend anything to have winning teams. He didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? So, but, Chris, he's likes to pinch pennies. You know what I mean? Do they got the money? Hell yeah, you got the money. You know how many hot and readies these bastards sell? They sell a lot of them, so they do have money. I don't want to see stupid contracts given out, but you do have the money to add pieces. And Yzerman in the past has proven that he can, be the general manager of a Stanley Cup winning team. Now, did he inherit a lot of those players on that team, when he got Tampa Bay and ended up going on to win the Stanley Cup? Yeah, he inherited a lot. But
no, a lot of players went down there. And Jason can decide with this with me too. A lot of players went down to Tampa Bay, and we brought this up before, and I think it has to do with the no tax down there in Florida.
That's a good point. I brought that up too, because two of those teams that Larkin picked are with states that don't have any income tax, so he would make more money off of his contract.
I think a lot of players wanted to go to Tampa when Eisman was down there. A lot of people were going down there. Stamkos was one of them. We tried to get Stamkos in Detroit. I don't know if Jason remembers that. We did want to get Stamkos in Detroit. He didn't want to come here. He wanted to go down to Florida. The weather's nicer. No state income tax. I get it. But I ain't worried about getting bit by a gator in my backyard, so I'm going to take the Colt.
You just got to worry about getting hit by a fucking baseball bat by your co-host sitting next to you, motherfucker.
Oh, here we go.
So shut the hell up.
Where are your golf clubs at? Get those the fucking way from you.
They're out in the garage because it's golf season, so you don't have to worry about that
till
the fall when I put them away for the winter. No, but yeah, I'm still not convinced Larkin's getting traded. Addy, do you really think he's going to get traded? I don't think so.
No, not at all. I think there's almost no chance he does, but especially when you're talking about a player with no trade clause. Like, I'm glad you guys brought that up, because that just puts everyone in a pinch where it makes it really hard for a deal like that to materialize, because you're taking away all of the leverage. It definitely called to me when you were talking about ownership there with the Ilitches. Like, I really got a different view of ownership talking to Anand Naduri. He used to work with the Jaguars staff, and I met him during the Senior Bowl. And we were talking out some of the actual things that go into that calculus, and you can make a lot of assertions about what sort of ownership your team has based on the way that they're spending that money and actually using their contracts, where if there's more liquid money available for, say, a team with, like, the New York Yankees, the LA Dodgers, like the LA Rams, you can typically tell that their ownership actually has a lot of liquid money with the way that they put their contracts together, because they're oftentimes front-loaded. And you'll even see that with the Chiefs when they put Patrick Mahomes on that giant $500 million contract or whatever it was. He essentially had a bunch of that money started, and they ended up deferring it to make the team actually get better. Ownership is going to tell you everything you need to know based on those contracts, because if they want to, they can put a $115 million contract in place to get a guy in the door. Like, they can do that day one. They can convince the rest of the team to restructure to actually get that additional bandwidth to make their team better. But if they aren't even willing to get that negotiating table started by showing that they're willing to win, I mean, it's hard to not blame them, because these guys have deep pockets. Like, make the storied franchise have that good energy, because people want it. Like, I have to deal with that frustration constantly as a Cubs fan, because our ownership is from the prehistoric era, and they aren't willing to spend a fucking dime on any single player. The second a guy starts establishing themselves in a Cubs uniform, they are out the door. Wilson Contreras, Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Cody Bellinger. Hell, I could keep the list going for the rest of my life, because they aren't willing to actually sack up and give up that money. It saddens me, because when you have a ball club in such a good city like Detroit that loves hockey, dude, throw the dollar bills down. Make a run for it every year.
Yeah, because there's ways to move money around to fit into the salary cap. There's ways to cheat it. We see it all the time with the NFL. You know what I mean? They can do it with the NHL too. I had a buddy explain to me one time how they do it with the NHL. There is ways to avoid it, but you have to have that liquid money to spend, and you got to be willing to spend it. And I just don't think the Ilitches are willing to do it. And we see that not only with the Red Wings, but with the Tigers as well. I mean, we bitch about this with the damn Lions too, because they don't seem to be willing to jump out and try to make shit happen to make big splash moves. So, I mean, as a Detroit fan all the way around, we're kind of screwed right now. Even with the Pistons, we were hoping the Pistons would make a little bit more of a splash at the trade deadline this last season and get a shooter, and they just never did. You know what I mean? So, like, it's ownership issues all the way around, and you got to be able to have liquid money to make a splash, and these guys just aren't willing to give it up. Now,
And thank goodness Detroit has Brad Holmes. Like
Yeah.
that really makes the Lions. It makes that job a lot easier because I think they'd be going through the exact same problems the Red Wings and the Tigers are having otherwise.
Yeah, he's able to do it through the draft, and he's done very well through the draft. But as I brought up the Pistons, let's move this thing over to the NBA.
No,
Finals
I want to
real-
get Jason's opinion on the trade thing. We
never heard Jason. I thought Jason spit it out. Wow, it was
You're
peeing.
talking all about NHL and stuff, and you barely pay
No,
attention.
I'm just my whole thing is it sucks that we're at a point to where we have to have this conversation where our captain is requesting a trade. The optimistic part of me wants to believe, look, if nothing is going to jar the ownership of this franchise, if this doesn't do it, nothing will. And he should go to a team that actually is going to give him an opportunity to win. I don't know, man. Like, I take the whole captain thing very, very seriously. And I worry that, you know, if Larkin does stay here, you know, begrudgingly, it's going to set a bad tone in the dressing room, and in turn, they're going to wind up playing like shit on the ice, and then we're going to be sitting here this time next year, moving into the second decade of no playoff appearances. That's not what I want here. I would like everybody to do the right thing in their respective roles and figure out a solution to make everybody as happy as possible so that we can focus on what's truly important, and that is getting back to the Stanley Cup playoffs. That should be priority, and it's not on Larkin's side here. It is management. It is ownership. What are you doing?
Okay, Jason, is it more Eisman or is it more Illich? What do you think on that?
I listen, if you had asked me this very question 3 months ago, I would have said 100% it is ownership.
Okay.
But I mean, I do feel like Yzerman, because of who and what he is to this franchise. I mean, the guy is a living legend for multiple reasons. And I feel like he has a little bit of pull here. So where is the blockage coming to acquire these bigger talent names to come to Detroit, or in this case, I mean, at least get some pieces to surround Larkin and the rest of the upper echelon of the Red Wings, and let's put together a championship winning team. That's what we're here. That's what we're all here for, right? So where is the cock block, if you will? A lot of it is the Illiches. But I'm starting to wonder how much influence does Yzerman have in these conversations? You gotta believe he's at least being talked to, right?
Well, look, like I brought up Quentin Hughes and all that, wanting to come to Detroit, Michigan boy, and all that stuff, and you don't go for him, but you get Justin Falk, not a bad defender, but not something that really made a splash in the trade deadline to push us over that hump to get to the playoffs. And honestly, if you would have said to me, you matching up Quentin Hughes with Sider and all that, that would have been one hell of a defensive line to have. They're both goal-scoring defenders. They're both very good defenders, and they both play the puck very differently. I feel like they would have meshed very well together and probably could have helped out that first line and helped out Larkin and stuff like that. Maybe made that push, but you went and got someone different. And if Larkin's making comments since 23, and he's finally like, hey, I'm over this stuff, and he wants out, then I'm on Team Larkin with this one. I think it's Yzerman, because it makes me think the Illiches will spend a little bit of money because they dropped 115 for 3 years. Maybe not as much as we want, but they did. Like, you look at what they did right before the MLB season started, they threw some money out there.
Well, is that them, or just that's the amount of money? Because honestly, the Tigers have one of the cheapest payrolls in baseball, so they had some money to move around anyways.
Yeah, but you're not going to get star players like great bats and all that unless you throw a big trade at it. And what are you trying to give up? That's just like anything. What are you trying to give up? Look at the Rams. You know, they gave up. You know, they quite a bit for Myles Garrett. Now I'm seeing trade rumors. Just side note: Sam Laporte is going to go to the Chiefs for a first round and a second round.
I'd love it.
Chiefs are garbage anyway. They ain't making anything this year.
Chiefs are totally making it. And by the way, we got Coach coming back on the 30th, so it'll be exciting to have him back on the show.
Talk about these NBA finals.
Yeah, let's move there. Let's move there because that's where we need to be because we spent way too much time on hockey.
No, we didn't.
And,
not at all.
You know, the fans are starting to filter out because hockey isn't a real sport.
Well, all right.
No, that's actually a hot take. It's totally a real sport. I'm just fucking around. I just like fucking with this guy next to me.
All right. There is signs of life in San Antonio.
Yeah, there is.
No, there's not.
And I can tell you why.
Okay.
Well, they had a couple days off there, so
That's dirty play.
Wemby had a chance to go back to the mothership and recharge and get re-downloaded with
He's human.
You know, some defensive schemes to be able to beat these guys, and they came back and they did it.
He's human.
He's not human. He's a fucking alien,
Nixon
bro.
6.
When's the last time you've seen a 7'5" or 7'6", whatever the fuck he is, giant of a man, be able to shoot threes the way that he does? It's not
I'm
human.
gonna phrase that. Nixon 5. They're gonna win the next 2. It's over.
No, Knicks are losing this whole thing. You want to know why? Because you said they're going to win, and you are the worst sports picker on the planet.
Definitely.
I understand you had one good year betting. I won this much money in my first year, but ever since then, you have lost all your money.
No, I
you
definitely
are living
still
in your
ahead.
truck.
Still ahead. Okay.
He has no money left. He's broke. He's wasted it all on FanDuel.
Definitely not, but okay.
That's not a plug for FanDuel. We are not sponsored by FanDuel,
Yes,
and they probably would not
be quiet.
sponsor us because Eric still owes them money.
No, I definitely don't, but okay. You just live in your little world where Patrick Holmes is the GOAT and all that. And they're
He
gonna
is
do
the GOAT,
good this year,
motherfucker.
and they're
He is the GOAT.
They're not even going to make the playoffs this year.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
They're
They're
going to win the
trash.
Super Bowl.
He's going to tear his other ACL. It's going to be done.
No.
All right. Well, the New York Knicks have a 2-game.
It's like, what the fuck?
No, I love it. I all for it. I just wild to throw out Pat Mahomes is going to tear his other ACL.
It's going to happen.
That was the one that got me. I was keeping
week
a straight
3,
face
calling
going.
it. Week 3, he's going to tear his other ACL. Week 3.
Oh my God, Eric! What would happen if that came to fruition?
I'd go buy a lottery ticket that
would.
day.
You
That
would
day,
have.
I'd be like, I'm going to go buy a lottery ticket right now.
All right, the Knicks came out of this thing with 2 big wins in games 1 and 2 in San Antonio, and they had everybody, all eyes on Madison Square Garden last night for game 3, and for the first time in this series, the Spurs were able to pull one out here. I don't know, the Spurs looked a little bit more motivated, a little bit more spring in their step last night after getting beaten on their home court in the first 2 games. We expected this to be a really good series, but much like the Stanley Cup Finals, these are 2 teams that are really, they're putting it all out there. They're laying everything on the line. I'll be honest, I wasn't excited that the New York Knicks were in the NBA Finals this year. The San Antonio Spurs I can fuck with, but I wasn't, real keen on the fact that the Knicks were in there. But here they are, and they're showing that they deserve to be there. So far, this has been a real good series. But Eric, you're saying that the Knicks are winning the next 2 games, and it's over.
Yep. It's Knicks in 5. They're going to bounce back in Madison Square Gardens, and they're going back to San Antonio and win it. Sick of hearing this big buffoon over here thinking Wemby's so great when he got exposed in the first 2 games.
He didn't get exposed.
Yes, he did.
He didn't have a chance to go back to the mothership and get re-downloaded with new information. You know what I mean? He's a fucking alien. No, but in all honesty, like the Knicks could very well win this, but
they will.
Just like Addison was talking about there a little bit ago, how he said momentum was a huge thing in hockey. I also think momentum's a huge thing in basketball. And we obviously seen, the Spurs went down in 2 games in a series. Well, also the Cavs went down 2 games in a series, came back and won that thing. So this thing's not over till it's over. So because the Cavs came back after losing the first 2 against the Pistons and ended up beating them in 7. So you can't really count the Spurs out at this point in time. And do I think the Knicks are probably going to win this thing? Yes, but I don't think it's going to be in 5, bro. I'm pretty sure the Pistons won the first 2 games in Detroit.
I want to look that up.
And then they went back, and then they end up losing, and then going down 3-2 and losing this thing in Game 7. Or it was the other way around. I don't know. I'm not 100% with it right now, by the way.
I know.
But either way, I don't
Okay,
think
you're
this
right.
is-
They did win the first two.
Yes, I thought that the Pistons won the first two. And then the Cavs end up winning that fucking series. So there is a possibility of a team coming back and winning this thing. And I think it was a wake-up call. And I think that win is going to kind of slow down the Knicks a little bit. Now, do I think the Knicks still win this? It's a good possibility. The team's playing very well. I know you brought up a fact of how Wemby didn't get called for a flagrant on that one fucking play against Brunson there, when he kind of threw him down to the ground. But good for Wemby because, Brunson's been a fucking flopping machine through this series so far. So give him a reason to fucking flop. Throw his ass to the ground. Force him to flop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but still, that should have been a call.
It should have been a call, but at the same time, make that motherfucker have a reason to actually flop. Give it to him because
fair.
I'm so sick of flopping bullshit through these NBA finals that these guys are fucking ridiculous. I have a hard time watching it. Now, this has been a great series so far. I haven't been able to actually physically watch it other than highlights because fuck ABC, and I don't have any opportunity to watch ABC. I don't have ABC anything, so I cannot watch a single game through this fucking series. No, I don't have ESPN. I refuse to because WWE went there, and I will not buy that bullshit because fuck them. You know what I mean? But I have not been able to watch a single game so far, so I've only caught highlights, and I have the ESPN app, so I kind of keep track of the scores while it's going on, but I cannot physically watch this series. I fucking hate the way that they do this shit now. I'm so irritated that I can watch certain series, but I can't watch the next series because they bounce around. Fuck this shit. I just make cable affordable again and I'll buy the shit. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous for what they can do. But yes, I don't think it's going to be a 5-game series. I think this thing's going to go 7. It could go either way at this point in time. The Knicks, I think, just got slowed down, and I think the momentum is not in their favor now. So I think this one's going to get stretched out to 7. Addison, what do you think?
I was going to say it's going to be a 7-game series in my mind, too. I think Wemby can keep it alive. I do think the momentum has fully shifted here. And I think we're seeing that because we're seeing those role players start to step into that prominent spotlight. The Knicks have been keeping it together so far because they have one of the deepest teams in the NBA. Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, all those guys can end up putting together a 20.5-5 performance for you any given game. They all can, and they all have managed to at different times throughout this series. But Stephon Castle is the big reason that I'm thinking the Spurs actually have a shot at this. If they're going to end up winning this series, it's going to be because his defense has stepped up. He's managed to keep Brunson off the ground. He's keeping the series going. He's going fast, and he's getting Wemby the ball. De'Aaron Fox, I think we're seeing more and more that guy was never going to be the franchise player that we need, or that the Sacramento really needed him to be. I wanted it to be a thing. He's so fast. I'm an athletic testing guy. That first and foremost, that's how I evaluate players in every sport. And De'Aaron Fox, just off the chart athlete, but we see him in this finals. He just doesn't have that clutch bone in his body, and it's cool to see that Wemby does. I think he's a really fun player to watch, but I did love that you guys are bringing up that the flopping has gotten absurd, because I haven't seen a more unanimous nation than we've had when OKC had an opportunity to lose in the conference finals. It was just immaculate. I love seeing everybody band together and say, hey, we're tired of this shit too. Get SGA off the ground, peel them off, and start playing some fucking basketball.
No, I'm right there with you. And this shit all started when we were watching the Pistons versus the Cavs, and fucking Harden was flopping all over the place. And I'm like, this is a fucking joke. I can't even watch this shit. It's so annoying. I literally watched his arm get touched and he ripped his head back like somebody grabbed him by the back of the hair. And a foul got called. And it's are you fucking kidding me? The refs need to get on this shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. I blame 90% of the shit on the refs because they're playing into it. You know what I mean? They're allowing this shit to get played into. They need to stop this. I want basketball to get back on the level of what college basketball is right now. You know what I mean? What basketball was in the 80s and the early 90s before all this shit started. It's ridiculous when these guys are putting on performative acts on the thing to try to draw fouls. Like, don't play into this shit. You know what I mean? Like, we can watch WWE on Monday nights and Friday nights. We don't need to watch it every time there's a basketball game. Like, it's
Well, who
wild.
do you blame for that?
Oh, it's the refs. I blame the refs for calling.
Do you
this
blame the
shit.
players? You blame the commissioner? The
No.
commissioner is the one that's allowing it.
Well, the commissioner's allowing it also, but the refs are also calling this shit. So
Yeah, because they listen to their boss, the commissioner. They got a boss to listen to.
Well, I mean, that very well could be true. I could get behind that. You know what I mean? Something needs to fix it because you need to stop calling these flagrant fucking flopping fouls that are just ruining the game of basketball. That's making it hard for people to watch. And they wonder why their ratings are down. You wonder why basketball's falling off. It's because of this shit. You know what I mean? If I want to watch scripted stuff, I'm going to watch the NFL, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like that's where I'm going to go. So I just wanted good, clean basketball. So I'll stick to college basketball from here on out because I became a huge fan through, you know, the March Madness this past year because I hadn't watched college basketball in years. And watching that, I'm going like, this is fucking basketball. Then I switched back to the NBA. As soon as the fucking playoffs started, it became a joke. And I'm like, this is getting even worse. Like, this is out of hand. And I remember from last year, I was frustrated with it. And like, it just carries over. I'm over the flopping. Like, let's get back to some hard-nosed fucking basketball. You know, I want to see people getting their fucking nose blown out by elbows to the face and no calls. Like, that's the stuff I want to see. I want to see some aggressive basketball. I mean, you see the shit in college. Why are we letting this shit go in the NBA? You know what I mean? If I want to watch fake shit, like I said, I'll tune in Monday night to Monday Night Football.
Hey, well, dude, and you know what? You mentioned college. The refs there have no problem calling a game. I don't hear a lot of discourse over college basketball's refereeing, even when there's controversial call. Like, we at least feel like the refs are doing their best there. I think it does come down to the commissioner. Like, I think Eric hit it on the nose. Like, you get in there, you tell your referees, this is how the game's going to get called. It's going to change stuff up a bit. But, you know, like, we're seeing Karl Anthony Towns and Wemby in the finals. And I think that really shows what sort of thing the NBA is prioritizing. They aren't prioritizing big men that can go in like Shaq used to and ram down the hoop. Like, they want a guy who can shoot a three so that they can see how far away they can make their shots from the hoop. See if there's no defense on it. It's sad to watch. And, you know, you mentioned Harden. I could not believe he came out after the fact and said, you know, I think we were still a better team than the Knicks, though. Like, coming out to the media after that was a freaking joke. Like, go back to your strip club and keep it to yourself, man.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like, that was wild. Jason, give us your thoughts on all this.
Listen, I know I'm in the minority here, but I'm still maintaining. I'm still going with the Spurs here. I do think it's going to go all 7 games, though. And I have not been a fan. I know I missed a part of this conversation, but I heard the commissioner mention, the commissioner of the NBA. I am not a fan of this dude at all.
I don't think a lot of people are.
He is underqualified for that job. And I don't know if it's because we got spoiled by David Stern. You know, he was very polarizing. He was very controversial in a lot of aspects. But man, on his watch, the NBA experienced so many levels of expansion and broader awareness, and it just is not that anymore. And you know, even with your LeBron James and you know guys like that, you know. The NBA needed a shot in the arm here, and I think the whole story and the legacy of the New York Knicks, and you know, with that team, there's a lot of extracurricular activity that has been centered around this team that has made this series fun to watch. And I don't know the last time I've used the word fun when describing an NBA Finals. So, you know, there's signs of hope, but it's not because of the commissioner's doing. If I can be honest with you, and like Tim has kind of, you know, danced around this a little bit with the scripted and the Monday night thing. Look, part of the reason why this series is getting another layer of attention to it is because of the wrestler Danhausen. and the media circus that he has become being centered around this team. It was supposed to be a gag by cursing the the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then the Knicks went on this incredible run. Well, of course they're going to tie into that. That's what makes it fun. Well, part of it. And it's despite the leadership or the lack of leadership from the commissioner of the National Basketball Association. They need an overhaul from the inside out and top to bottom. The NBA.
Well, yeah, because now they're trying to sell the seat that fucking Taylor Swift sat in and all that, and it's just like, wow, now they're trying to jump on the bandwagon of the NFL.
No, they definitely need to try to sell those seats. Taylor Swift is the princess of America. So she's the closest thing to royalty we have.
I feel the same way, Jason.
Even Jason is blessing Taylor Swift right now.
No,
Like, I'm right there with you, brother.
We're trying to deal with you. Trying to deal with you. And I just can't wait.
She was set
I
from
can't
the
wait
Lord
for
above.
I just can't wait for the Chiefs dynasty to fall even more this year.
all right.
You keep waiting. It's not happening.
It's game 3, week 3.
Is there anything else we want to discuss with the NBA Finals?
Addison, you got anything to add?
Nothing to add there. I actually, I think I didn't give my actual prediction. I'm actually with Jason. I think the Spurs got it.
Yeah, I've been dead set on the Spurs. Could I see the Knicks winning it?
Knicks are winning.
They could win it, but I mean, I
Brent's
want to see the
right.
Spurs win it.
Gonna win it.
I
In
gotta
game
see.
5.
I mean, it'll be the first time ever that we have somebody that was not born on this earth actually win an NBA championship. So I'm excited to see that. Like, we're all about equality here. Let's let an alien win for once, okay? You know what I mean? Like, you can't get any more progressive than that right there. Like, we're letting an actual extraterrestrial.
How many times was this guy hitting his head, Jason, when you guys were wrestling? Because it had to be a fucking lot.
You, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, way more than quite a few. Like the shit that comes out of his mouth, it just blows my mind.
I've been dropped on my head a time or two, knocked out quite a few times.
I can tell.
It's always been fun.
Let's get to the Rocket.
We've crossed the top of the hour, so you know what that means. It's Tim's main event of
Let's fucking go.
It's that time of the show. It'll be sweet and short. Here's Tim Sheridan with the 2-12 goals scored.
This is Tim's 2 Minutes Golf Report, brought to you by the Sports World Podcast on the PFC Entertainment Network. Real quick, I'm going to cover the Memorial Tournament this past weekend, which JT Poston won this thing in a shootout with Gerard. He won this thing at 12 under, and he won with the playoff holes of 8. And then third place, we had Wyndham Clark. Tied for 4th, we had Sam Burns and Tommy Fleetwood. We had a 2-way tie for 6th with Alex Fitzpatrick, which good for him. Ever since he earned his tour card there with his brother about a month ago, he's actually been lighting it up. Then we had Wrighton also tied with him. We had Cole in 8th. We had Noren in 9th. We had a 2-way tie for 10th with SW Kim and McNeely, both at 5 under. This coming up weekend, we have the RBC Canadian Open, which I don't even know if it's a real place because Canada doesn't exist. They don't have a pope. But other than that, the big news this week that we found out here in Detroit, which is actually heartbreaking to me because my kid's biggest goal was to play in this thing in about 8 years, and they are eliminating this tournament. But the Rocket Classic will no longer be played in Detroit. They are eliminating this tournament, so we are not going to have a PGA Tour stop in 2027 in the state of Michigan, which is devastating to me. Now, Jason, you have been able to attend the Rocket. I know Eric and you guys are. You're also attending this year with me, which unfortunately is going to be the last year of the Rocket, but we're going to be able to do this. Jason, being or having the experience of experiencing this tournament, knowing that this year is going to be the last year, how does this feel as, you know, fans? I mean, obviously I'm really the only golf fan on the show, but somebody who's experienced this event, how does it make you feel that this tournament's leaving the state?
I'm sad. I am legitimately sad. I heard this news this morning on WWJ radio, and like I had to wait for the loop to come back around. Like, did I hear that right? Like Detroit is losing this event, and I am not a golf fan, but I do respect it, obviously. And I told you last year, I'm like, what a cool event. It was a cool vibe. Everybody was chill, and it was fun to see these athletes in person doing their damn thing. And when I heard that this morning, I was like, that sucks. And obviously, Tim, you were the first one I thought of. And but what I found interesting is there is something of a sliver of hope if they could find a new sponsor. It's my understanding, like that is the biggest part of this is the sponsor is pulling out of this event. Which if you don't have a sponsor, you can't do the event. Okay, I understand that. So PGA, from what I gathered, is exploring other options to find a new sponsor for the Rocket because they want to keep they want to keep an event in Detroit, which is very encouraging. But the USFL said the same thing too. So I don't want to put too much stock into it, but be that as it may, um, I'm bummed out. I'm bummed out for you. I'm bummed out for your son. I'm bummed out for golf fans all over the state because this became a big damn deal here. So I'm sad for you guys.
No, and 100%. You bring up the funny thing, and we talk about the sponsor, and them needing it. Part of this is on the PGA also because they're increasing the sponsorship fee from 15 million to 30 million. So for yes, that's the reason, and we know that the sponsor has money because one, it's Dan Gilbert, and we all know Dan Gilbert, in the state of Michigan. And obviously, if you're a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, you know Dan Gilbert because he's your owner. And he also does a lot of stuff in the state of Michigan. Like the majority of the shit that he does is in Detroit because he's a Detroit native. So whether it's Rocket Mortgage, anything like that, like shit, I got family that works for the guy. But yeah, the PGA is increasing that sponsorship buy-in from 15 million to 30 million, so it would double. So that is the reason why he's probably backing out, because it's like, I don't know if I want to spend $30 million on this thing because the chances of making $30 million back off of it, probably not very good. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of fucking money.
That is a shit ton of money.
Yeah, and you're talking about, and the sad thing is, and Addison, I'll get to you here in a second, but the sad thing is that golf course that we went to, Jason, the Detroit Country Club down there, beautiful course, absolutely beautiful. It's in the weirdest fucking area ever. You got burned down houses across the street, but the course is absolutely fucking, pristine. They just completely redid the South course for this year to make the tournament a little bit harder for these PGA professionals. They dropped millions of dollars into this course. Come to find out, this is going to be the last year that this tournament's going to be played at that course. So like the money that they put into it to keep the PGA coming, and then now all of a sudden it's backing out. Now I like the PGA pisses me off. We've discussed this a million times. Addison, have you ever been to a PGA event?
I actually have not. I am going to golf really poorly this weekend, but I have not been to a PGA event. Do they get pretty popping in Detroit? I know they do in some areas. My friends have been to a couple in like California and other places on the west side. But I like, how are the golf courses in Detroit in general, or in Michigan in general? It is a beautiful state nature-wise.
Yeah, Michigan's got some of the most beautiful golf courses in the country, to be honest. Like, so the options for them to move to a different course are very well open. I mean, the Buick Open used to be played here every year. We've had U.S. Opens played in the state of Michigan. So the options here, I mean, there's a LPGA major that's played in the state of Michigan every year. So we have some of the most beautiful golf courses in the state of Michigan. So there's options for them to move courses, but I don't think that's an issue. I think it's the issue of the PGA increasing the sponsorship fees for these tournaments to be able to, for some of these sponsors to be able to keep up with them. I mean, you go for 15 million from a small, I mean, this isn't one of the big tournaments. This is one of the smaller tournaments. Usually, it's a $9 million purse, or theoretically go to Grand Blanc and see that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, right there, the Ally Challenge. You're talking about that. That's LGPGA or LPGA Tour major that they put on every year in Grand Blanc. Like they do some amazingly beautiful courses. Eric knows he's worked on some golf courses in the state of Michigan. We have absolutely phenomenal golf courses. Now some of them aren't set up for like a PGA event, you know what I mean? But doesn't mean they're not beautiful courses. They just don't have the structure to be able to set up for fans and everything else, because it does take that type of course to be able to have the openness, to be able to have, you know, the stands put in and everything else. Because these events, if you ever get a chance, Ed, go to a PGA event. They're amazing.
I'll check it out.
You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, the Rocket was never as live as like the Waste Management that's out west. You know, that's a fucking party. The Rocket's a little bit more laid back. Jason can attest to this. He's been to one. Eric's gonna go to the Rocket this year. Like, it's laid back. It's really cool. It's chill. I mean, there's free swag. We got a little bit of free swag. There's vendors everywhere. I mean, it's a hell of a good time, and it's cool to watch these guys in their element as they're playing. You know what I mean? It's a different atmosphere from any other sporting event you've ever been to, and it's going to be sad to see it go. And like Jason said, yeah, I'm mostly sad for my kid because it was his goal to play in this thing. I think in like 2032, he said he was going to win the Rocket.
Said it ain't going to come back.
I mean, it very well could, but the PGA has to get on board and not try to wipe out some of these smaller tournaments. And I understand that they're trying to back off and make the schedule a little shorter, you know, to help out some of these golfers, because the golf season is fucking outrageously long. You know what I mean? And these guys are on the road nonstop every weekend. And I mean, literally, they get like a month and a half off. Like, you want to talk about baseball being a long season or basketball being a long season? Golf is really fucking long. Like,
so is wrestling.
Well, wrestling it's a different aspect altogether. You know what I mean?
Still on the road a lot.
You're not as much as they used to be, though, and Jason can attest to this. Back in the day, these guys were on the road 320 days a year, and now they get a lot of time off. You know what I mean? And the good for them, because there's nothing more brutal on your body than professional wrestling. I can attest to that. I still feel the aches and pains. I know Jason does too. And we weren't on the road 320 days a year, Jason. Like, we were, you know, every couple of week warriors. You know, it wasn't an every night type of deal. But yeah,
we're going to be talking about that next week on the next installment of the Fatal 4-Way, the scheduling for especially WWE. So yeah,
it's really backed off. But yeah, PGA, people don't realize how much these dudes are on the road. You're talking 11 months out of the year. They're playing almost every week. And it's not just showing up for the weekends, you know, it's not just showing up for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're there on fucking Tuesday for a pro-am. You're there on Wednesday for a practice round. Then next thing you know, you start the tournament on Thursday. You're playing 72 holes, and then you get a day off. One day off. Do you fly home and spend time with your family, or do you just fly to the next city and get ready for the next tournament? You know what I mean? And get out there for the pro-am and then the practice round, and then you're nonstop. So I kind of understand the PGA trying to back off a little bit to give these guys a little bit of a break. But at the same time, don't steal. Like, this is the only one that Michigan has. Don't fucking steal it from us. You know what I mean? Like, we look forward to this. This is something that this is the one event that I go to every fucking year. One, it's still affordable. Two, they still let kids in for free. 16 and under, get in for free to the Rocket. There's not many. How many times have you went to a sporting event? You go to a Tigers game or a Lions game or any other sporting event, and they tell you, kids 16 and under for free. No, the PGA allows that. The Rocket allows that. You know what I mean? My kid gets in for free. Now, the rest of us have to pay $80. But when you could take your children there for free, that is fucking awesome. I'm all about that, because junior golf is the future of golf. So let these kids in for free. Take as many as you want. Take these kids to see this shit, because they get you hooked. Jason was there last year. He saw my kid light up when Lanto Griffin threw him that ball. He was hooked from that. I mean, he was already big into golf at that point. But at that point, he followed that guy around till his very last hole. And he said, I'm going to win this tournament in 6 years. You know what I mean? Like, that just totally set his sights on that. That's what he wanted to do when he got older, was to play professional golf. So like, these events are important for our youth, for the area and for the golf fans of Michigan. And I don't know if people realize this. Golf is one of the fastest growing sports in this country right now. Golf is growing so fast. And I've attributed that a lot on this show to YouTube Golf. YouTube Golf has turned the game of golf around. And granted, big props to the PGA. They're getting involved. They are doing shit with good now. So they are getting involved with YouTube Golf now, and they're trying to bring the two together. In fact, I know one of the good guys have been getting a lot of exemptions to play a lot of these tournaments. So that's huge. So they're trying to introduce YouTube Golf in with PGA. So they're jumping on the bandwagon. I'm excited about that. In fact, we have Brad Dalkey from Good, who's going to be playing at the Rocket this year. I'm excited to see. Hopefully he makes the cut and we get to see him on Sunday, because we'll be there on Sunday for the Rocket. So it'll be good to see. But yeah, like, it sucks that this tournament is leaving this state. I am irritated with that. And I'm hoping that they really find a different sponsor, or the PGA figures it out with Rocket and we can continue this tournament. And I hope the golf course does not get fucked with the amount of money they just spent just totally redoing the entire South course just for this tournament, just to have it for 1 year. It's wild.
Going to obviously be paying attention to the developments about this, if they can find a new sponsor, or what the future for the Rocket Classic is. We are running a little bit into overtime this week, so Addison, number one, we appreciate you being on the show here. Where can our fans find you and what you're doing?
Yeah, of course. And thank you guys for having me on. Always a pleasure here. It reminds me there are other sports. I'm so in the football realm most of the time, but you guys can find me on Two Guys One Pod on YouTube. Also, check out the League Champ app. We have our contests open, just released our newest version. It's been a lot of work. Really hyped about it. We're giving away 2 free jerseys. Great way to start building out your brand if you're trying to get into the fantasy football industry. We're really trying to support creators, and it's awesome to get to interact with y'all because, we met through random memes, just sliding into the TikTok DMs, as they say. So be sure to check us out there, and you can find me at Duck Leg Champ on all the socials.
Awesome, man. And we look forward to the next time you're able to join us here on the Sports Reel Podcast. If you haven't done so already, check out the online store at pfcsportsreel.printify.me for all the latest merchandise of everything under this particular banner. Shirts, hats, hoodies, coffee cups, anything that you can think of, it's over there, including the new ball game lineup of merchandise. So be sure to check that out. And then next week, Tim, do you want to give us a little bit of a preview of what we got coming up next week?
Yes, next week, June 16th at 6 p.m., we are being joined by Michigan Sports and Entertainment. So we're going to have the guys from there on. It's going to be a great show. Looking forward to it. So you can find us next week at 6 p.m. at the PFC Entertainment Network on YouTube and Facebook. And maybe, just maybe, if TikTok plays along, we'll actually go live on TikTok one of these weeks. Jason, we still got to figure that shit out. Like, they're playing games.
It's
I know.
Impossible.
Yeah.
I've been trying for weeks.
Thank you, Addison. Thank you.
It's
for
fucking impossible.
that.
Yeah, no, on Riverside especially, it's impossible.
Yeah,
it
has become a fucking issue.
Yeah.
I'm glad someone else was having that problem, because I was like, I'm technically savvy. I have a mic and a computer. So I figured I could figure it out. It's just impossible.
Yeah, no, they make it absolutely impossible. We'll figure it out eventually. We will be live on TikTok eventually. But speaking of TikTok, don't forget, if you're watching this right now, follow us on TikTok. We are giving away the autographed and authenticated Kirby Joseph signed mini helmet. As soon as we have 1,500 followers, we will be I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. I'm going to probably do one of those spinning wheel thingies. I'm going to fucking spend 2 days logging all your names in there, and we're going to give that thing away live on the show as soon as we have 1,500 followers. So please follow the Sports Reel Podcast on TikTok. And then here pretty soon, we will also be doing a giveaway on Facebook. Me and Eric have to get together and go pick something up for that. So we will be doing that on Facebook as well. So if you haven't followed us on Facebook yet, probably go do that, because you'll already be ahead of the game for that one. Other than that, Jason, let's roll this thing out, brother.
All right, we appreciate everybody tuning in, and go out this week, be awesome to yourselves and to each other, and we will see you next week right here on the Sports Reel Podcast, live on the PFC Entertainment Network.
Let's go, Tigers. Yeah.